Hello, welcome to Venture Capital with me, Katie Pilbeam. This week we've flown to China for the 4th Shanghai Summit. I'm not the only person who's come here from Moscow, but the Russian President Vladimir Putin, he's come here signing multi-million-dollar deals, and it's all about building a bridge between Russia and China going forward. And an actual bridge too. One of the deals was to construct the Amur River bridge. So that's exciting too, but the one that took the spotlight had to be the Gazprom supply to China that will last 30 years. It equates to $400 billion. Now I caught up with David there. He's from the China-Europe International School on this flourishing relationship. Here we have it, the fancy cars. This is the epicenter where all the business delegates are staying here in Shanghai this week. And there's a certain electricity in the air because we know multi-billion-dollar deals are being struck. And of course, the one that everyone is talking about is the gas deal. I've got David Gosset right here to talk to me about Russia-China trade. And it seems like it's at an all-time high at the moment. Why is that?
Very important, the symbol of this strengthening of the strategic relations between the two countries. It's important for Russia because Russia needs to diversify, clearly because of the complex moment in which we are, Europe, Russia, and simply also China needs that. So this is extremely significant. Exactly. Complement very much. We have the complementarities, and the negotiation has been long, but now it is done.
Yeah. So it's all about timing, really, isn't it? That's what it's all been about.
Yes.
And what does this mean for Europe, though? Does it mean that Europe now has less leverage in terms of contracts with Russia?
Clearly less leverage, clearly, but I think that Europe also needs Russian resources, and also Russia cannot only rely on China.
Yeah, and let's get back to China because we've had all sorts of deals conducted here in Shanghai, but everyone's focused on the gas deal. It's kind of taken over the summit somewhat. But what else excites you?
Well, I think the tolls on Chinese investments in Russia. This is very important. This is one of the major business issues of our days, of the 21st century. Chinese investment outside of China. And when you look at the figures, we have very low, in fact, Chinese investment in Russia. So the fact
Why is that at the moment?
Well, because China has been in Africa, even in Latin America, and then we did not have enough attention paid to that issue. But I think things are going to change. Mr. Putin has asked for that, especially Chinese investment in the Far East, near Vladivostok, in the free trade zone. So I think things are going to move in the right direction.
Okay. So we've got gas, we've got tech companies, we've got infrastructure doing business, nanotechnologies, all sorts. Anything else?
Yes, I think water is one of the main themes when you think, if not the main theme, between China and Russia. China clearly has a problem with water, scarcity of water, especially in the north of China, and you have plenty of water in Russia, in Siberia. So here the complementarities are huge, and clearly we haven't seen very serious discussion on this issue, and I think the two countries will have to discuss these issues. The goal is to have 90 billion bilateral trade between the two countries last year. The goal by 2020 is to go at 200 billion US.
Huge.
I think it is huge, but when you think about the size of the two economies, not only the two countries will reach this goal, but the two countries will go much beyond this goal. So,
and the middle class is rising in China and in Russia.
Exactly.
They have and big population.
Exactly, and of course, now one needs to think about China not as the factory of the world, but as the market of the world.
It's
so
that transition, isn't it, from a low-cost product society, making goods in factories, to the innovation.
Absolutely, innovation, but also the needs of the Chinese consumers, the market of the world.
They have more money now.
Clearly, they have more money to buy Russian products.
Yeah, and let's talk about money because I want to talk about the yuan and the ruble. What's going to happen now in terms of trade? Because it seems to make far more sense
the settlement of Sino-Russian trade in Russian currency or Chinese currency, clearly it is a step toward the internationalization of the renminbi. And we are going to enter, it's a long process, we are going to enter in a post-US dollar world.
Okay, all right, David Gosset, thank you so much indeed from the central city of Shanghai. Now, while the Gazprom deal was named the deal of the century and got everybody very excited, not just that, we had plenty of other industries that were striking up huge money-making deals here in Shanghai this week.
We announced 3 new very important transactions. One is to build the only bridge between Russia and China that is going to really unleash lots of export from Russia into China. Secondly, we announced a joint investment into a tourism fund that will unlock value of tourism. And the third investment is invest in the logistics sector, which we believe will grow dramatically between from 90 billion right now to 200 billion by 2020.
By 2020, for example, how much business do you think you'll be doing with Russia?
By 2020, I think there will be many different areas. For example, the fuel, the oil, the transportation, the ICT technologies, all kinds of parts will become stronger. The partnership will become stronger and stronger.
China's huge economic expansion has come at a cost, and that cost is pollution. At all times you can see a grey misty fog in the air. It's known as smog, and that's incredibly damaging for water, for agriculture, for the people of China, causing premature deaths as well as diseases such as lung cancer. And that's because coal is used for 70% of all China's energy needs. That's more than the rest of the globe combined. Now China wants to move towards a cleaner energy, which is natural gas, and that's exactly where Russia comes into all of this as the biggest net exporter of gas. And there's plenty to go around with the biggest resources in the world, plenty to go around for the 1.3 billion people population of China. And this is Shanghai at night. As you can see, the view is absolutely sensational, and that's why tourists flock to this city. Well, to China. For Russia, it's the second most popular place to visit. Russia is the third most popular place for Chinese visitors. And these visitors are only set to escalate between the two countries, because this week we had a multi-million-dollar deal secured between Russia's Foreign Direct Investment Fund and a tourist holding company, Ban Lan. And I caught up with the CEO about the topic of tourism.
Russian tourist is the biggest tourist group, foreign tourist group in Hainan Island in China. I mean, every year there are hundreds of thousands of Russian tourists went down south to Hainan Island for vacation. In the meantime, there is always for Chinese historical feelings to visit Russia, especially in the Far East, because in the summer, in most part of China, it's very hot. But in the Far East, it's actually very cool. It's got great weather. There's no pollution. So we see great potential for Chinese tourists to visit Russia, particularly the Far East, in the future. But the infrastructure in the Far East for tourism is still underdeveloped. So we see great potential to develop infrastructure in the tourist sector in the Far East to actually capitalize on this particular opportunity.
Now, I may be here in Shanghai this week, but I'm not letting Mr. Tim Kirby off the hook. Tim, tell me, you're back in Moscow. I know you're working hard, but I certainly hope you are. Tell me, what have you been up to?
Hi, Katie. Yeah, so I'm starting to believe that there is something truly special or magical about the wheel, because this is no stunt, this is no conspiracy, but literally on the week of the major ultra Russia-China gas deal, Gazprom, Russia's largest natural gas producer, came up on the wheel. And naturally, their stocks went up 2.5%. So I'm at over $16,500 right now. I'm going to spin the wheel, and let's hope Gazprom comes up again, because I'd really like to invest in them for a second week in a row. But who are we going to get? Oh, it's not going to be Gazprom, darn it. It is Uralkali the big, huge producer of potash fertilizer in Russia. So that's something I don't know, but I do know fertilizer is always in demand, so let's hope it pays off like Gazprom did.
All right, well, thank you for that, Tim. I really appreciate it. So it's been a busy week in Shanghai. It's been a lucrative summit, that's for sure. And we've learned a lot about the relationship between Russia and China. We know that China, they like a bargain. We know that Russia is a firm negotiator. But they got there in the end with the Gazprom deal. It wasn't just about energy. There were plenty of others going on there too. It's been all very exciting indeed. But from now, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to go enjoy the sights and do a little bit of shopping. Why not? So I say goodbye from Shanghai.